All right, so the first Sichah we learned, as we said, this is in Chelek Chof Aleph. So this week was Sichah Beis and Gimel. The first Sichah speaks about, in short, why we in Chabad, why the Babish, we do not eat By Shalash Sedudas, why we do not eat bread. Now, the pasuk says that Moshe told the Yidden, Achlu ayeh, eat today, ki Shabbos ayem Hashem, ayem leisim so basada. Now, from here, the fact that it says ayem 3 times, Chazal are out in the Gemara Shabbos, that there's an obligation to eat Shalash Sedudas and Shabbos. Now, even though we find that the main Suda or Shabbos, as it's brought in the Shulchan Aruch, is bread, we find that it's brought in Shulchan Aruch, a machlekes, in Tofresh Sadik Aleph, Sefei, we find a machlekes in different opinions, how one could be Yetze, if you need dafke, whether Suda Shlishis, you need dafke bread, and there's an opinion that says, Yesh Makilin, that you can eat the Suda Gimel with Chameshes Minim, Shemavarkan Lo Ber Minim Wazenis. Some people are makel that you can even use just a basar dagim, and there's even an opinion that says even beperis yochel kaimi, with fruit. Now the Alter Rebbe in Shulchan Aruch says, do not rely on any of these opinions unless you are full and you don't have any other opinion, without paying yourself. Which means that according to Shulchan Aruch, one should lechatchila wash by the third Suda. Now, but we know the minig of the Rabbeim that they most of the time would not eat bread by the Suda Shlishis. They used to just eat just something, a little fruit, something. Now, the reason is, since the third Suda, we learn it now from the pasuk Hayom, and by the third Suda it says Hayom Loi, which means that by the Suda Shlishis, you should not eat. What should you not eat? You should not eat the mon, you should not eat the lech. Now, Chassidus explains, the deeper explanation is that the third Suda is corresponding to, as the Bach says, and it's brought down in other places, Eilam Haba, Ein Beleh Achila V'Leishasi, which means that the third meal corresponds to Eilam Haba, which, in Eilam Haba, what does it say? There's no Achila V'Leishasi. And the energy which is flown is from the level of ayin, like the Bechaya says. And that's why in the third Suda, it's not a regular Suda, we're trying to stress the idea of leisim teu, we're not going to eat bread because this is the meal which is corresponding to Lasilavit. Now, obviously, Teda say no, Akdesha is one Teda, and Primus Teda and Nigla Teda, they have to go hand in hand. The halacha and primis have to go hand in hand. So the question is, yes, and we understand that primis, why the Suda Shlishis is higher, there's no food, there's no anything. But l'cha'ira, api halacha, what's going on is that there's a kula over here, and the Alter Rebbe says, "Ve'elis mechklal alzeh." So the Rebbe says that the explanation, the Alter Rebbe says, the same Shulchan Aruch says that the mitzvah of eating or washing for bread is not just for the sake of washing, but we want an outcome. We want an einig. So if there's not going to be an einig by eating this bread, so then there's going to be a tsar. As the Alter Rebbe says, Adam sherafi mazekis lei. If the food damages him, so then his einig is not to eat. For carrot, his einig is not to eat. It's not to eat. If he eats bread, it's gonna be masakim. So that's not einig Shabbos. So so like this the lechatchila is a chiyuv to eat Suda Shlishis bread. That means dafka by a person of this einig. Mashenkin when the einig is not in achilas pas. So then, why? Because he understands, or the Rabbeim understood, that this is a time of Rav and Ivan. This is a time, the level of Hayim Loi, the level of Ayin. And, as we know, it's a Me'edim Kippur, which we know by Yom Kippur, it's a Shabbat Shabbosin, and Me'edim Haba, which is the Le'achil of Le'ishasiyah. So therefore, for the Rabbeim to eat bread at this time, it's a tsar for them. So that's why the chatchila, there's no chiyuv to eat bread by the Sedudas dishes. And fakert, the bread will be a tsar, and that's why he should be ate so with just tasting something. We Chassidim don't feel this way, but since we're makosher to the Rabbeim, and the Rabbeim felt this way, so therefore we go in their darkein, we go in their way. Now the Rebbe asks, we have to understand, in the time of Mincha Shabbos, which is Meir, the time of Hayim Loi, so based on that Yom Kippur, so the Chayra, there shouldn't have been any meal at all, just like Yom Kippur, we don't eat. And we find by the Ashbi that he connected the Sedudas Lishis on our faces Shechalias B'Shabbos with Dafka with Divrei Torah. So why do we have to eat something? Now, in a few places on Chassidus, it's explained that the Sedudas Lishis has to be a te'ima of something, not the Yom Kippur with the Rosh Hashanah, is Dafka mitzad the Maila of Sedudas Lishis. Is not because of the Maila of Sedudas Lishis, fakert, because it's only Me'ena in the Mahab. In other words, yes, it is Elam Habas in By Shalash Sedudas, but here it's not Mamash Elam Habas, it's Me'ena Elam Habas. Now, but if you look at the Rishima of the Frierdiker Rebbe, he brings from the Rebbe Rashab. What does he say? He brings from Rabbi Yossi, Yehei Chelki, that made my chelik be in the Sedudas Lishis, from those who eat Sedudas Lishis, which means you're saying Yehei Chelki. That means it's not like a b'diavad thing, or it's the chatchila, it's a maila, and there's an advantage in Sedudas Lishis. The Rebbe says also we have to understand this, that the Rebbe Rashab brings a raya, or the minor from Rabbi Yossi. If it's speaking about the chiyuv of eating Sedudas Lishis al pi halacha, so l'chel harish, you should have brought that there's the etzem chiyuv of eating. And if it's speaking about the tam pnimi, tzarech litem, well, what are you bringing by Rabbi Yossi? So the Rebbe says like this. L'chayra is not understood. The obligation to eat the Shalash Sedudas on Shabbos is a din l'furish in the sugya. So what does he mean by saying Yehei Chelki? So the Maharsha says that the reason Rabbi Yossi said Yehei Chelki make the Shabbos Sedudas is in order to desirous people to get involved with Sedudas Lishis. Now the Rebbe says Bishleim about other things, where there's a Heder Midas Chidus. So you say Yehei Chelki, but how do you say Yehei Chelki when there's a Chiyuv Gomer? So the Rebbe says you can't answer that the Rabbi Yossi wanted to just be Mekayim Achochem in a Bereshe, that you should realize the Milo Sedudas Lishis, and therefore don't stuff yourself up, because that's something which is obvious. Now the Rebbe says the explanation is that in Elam Haba it says Ein By Le'achilo Le'chasiyah. It doesn't mean that when Mashiach comes that the Mila of the Gulf is going to be totally lost. It means fakert, that in Elam Haba there's going to be a connection between the Gulf and the Neshama, and we're going to work together. And like as we know, the famous machlekes between the Ramban and the Rambam, what's going to happen Lasalove. And we pass them like the Ramban that the Shleimus of Elam Haba is going to be Dafke after Chesamesim and the Shema with the Guf. Because then Dafke Lasalove, we're going to appreciate the Guf Mitzad Atzmei and understand the Maila. So it says, according to this, so there's a Maila in eating something by Sedudas Lishis, saying Sedudas Lishis is Me'ed Lasalove. And as we know, Lasalova is definitely going to be the guf. It's going to be a couple of star. So that's why we eat something, because on one hand, yes, you're right, it's not even the Ivan, it's the idea of iron. But, and that's why we don't eat any bread, but there's also, it's going to deher the mila of a guf. So that's why we have to eat something. Like it says also in other places, that Suda L'Yosef Shar Bar is going to be a Suda Gashvus. It's not some ruchnistic thing. Now, the Rebbe says, by Kitzur, the Shleimar, this that the Shleivas Askar Lost Love is dafka going to be the Shabbos Gufim is because dafka is going to zgala the mile of guf on the neshama. That the neshama is going to be nizenis min guf, which means the neshama has to come onto the guf and understand, and it's going to appreciate the darga of Atzmus Mosei, Mitzusi Matzmusei. He says the same thing as the Shlishis, this that we have to have something, again, is stressing the mile of the guf, which is going to be, which is expressed, Lost Lavi. And that's what the basic means, even also this Shabbos, that he should be able to eat. So the Shlishis, should be Einig, that's because the mile of the guf. And that's why the Rebbe Ashar brings the mimer of the Basi, a chalki, even though it says Ayim Lei, because he wants to do it in his kayach, to the eating. So the Shlishis, the mile of, it's not that there's a Giroyen in Ayim Lei, nor Adarabah, it's a mile of Shabbos the laws. Just now, I just want to point out, based on the Sichah, I don't know why,